guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is the unsolved death of a young woman called Lindsay Buziak. It's a very sad case, as they all are, and obviously it is still unsolved, so, you know, hopefully these videos can help. Well, they probably are most likely not going to, but, you know, there's always the hope that maybe it will spark something for somebody and maybe somebody will come forward with some information. So let's jump in. Lindsay Elizabeth Buziak was born on the 2nd of November in 1983 to Jeff and Evelyn in Victoria in Canada. She had one sister who was called Sarah, and she was just genuinely really liked, really popular. She was very outgoing, very enthusiastic about what she wanted to do in life. You know, she was just a generally lovely girl. It was 2008 and she was 24 years old, and she had actually started to begin a new successful career for herself, which was becoming an estate agent. And it was like the perfect job for her because, as I've said, she was outgoing, she was always really friendly. So, I mean, an estate agent for somebody like that, you know, you need sort of those qualities. Well, they'll do you well in that job, let's just say, and so it was perfect. It was a perfect fit. Now, at the time, she also had a boyfriend. He was called Jason Zalio, I think, and they'd actually been dating around that time for about a year. Now, Jason was part of like quite a wealthy family in the area, and his family actually owned a real estate business that was very successful. His mother, Shirley, basically owned the property that the couple lived in. So they did live together, but they lived in his mother's house, if you get me. Which you do. I don't know why I said that. Now, initially, they did live in her vacation home in Shawnigan Lake near Victoria, but they actually moved into this property that they were living in now that she also owned because it was closer to work for them. You know, they had to travel quite far to get to their job, so it would have been easier just to live there, so they moved. Now, their relationship seemed quite happy together, but her father, Jeff, did say that Lindsay had mentioned on a couple of occasions that Jason was kind of controlling, a little bit overbearing, and she found him too possessive at times. So she did have some reservations about their relationship, and that wasn't the kind of man that Lindsay wanted to end up with. She was a really she was very free-spirited and determined, and I don't know, she just didn't want to be held back or controlled by somebody, I guess. Again, that being said, you know, they were still in a relationship. So, as I've said, Lindsay was starting out being an estate agent. She'd not been doing it very long, and she was a Remax Camason realtor, and on the 31st of January, in 2008, she receives she thought it was a pretty strange phone call. It was on a private number, so she has a work phone, but this was on a private number, which she didn't give out to people, you know, not with regards to work anyway. But this woman ended up calling. She received a call from this unknown number. She answers it. It was a woman who never gave her name, but basically said that she wanted to hire her to find her this $1 million property or something like that. She said that she wanted to buy a house with her husband. That was the spend budget that they had, like $1 million, and they wanted it quick. So, you know, they were just looking for a quick turnaround. And Lindsay, although she thought it was weird that, you know, this call was coming through on a personal number, and I believe they said when she asked where they got it, they just said somebody she worked with or something like that. So she did find it very strange, but at the end of the day, £1 million house to sell, especially when you're first starting out, is like amazing. They get commission, and the commission on that would have been huge. So she wanted to sell them this house. She wanted to get into selling big expensive houses anyway, and this would have been like a great step in sort of a rung in the ladder. I don't really know the saying. If she did manage to get the sale as well, it would have been her biggest sale to date by far. So she agreed to take on the woman as a client. She found her the perfect house, or, well, what they think is the perfect house for this person's requirements. And then she arranged a showing for that house on the 2nd of February. The house in question was on a sort of street on a little cul-de-sac called D'Souza Place. There was only 4 houses on there, and it was called D'Souza Court, which was actually named after the developer Joe D'Souza. It had a like a big back garden with a fence running around it. It seemed perfect. They had 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It was on for an asking price of $965, so just under the $1 million. And it had been on the market for about a year. It was brand new and it was vacant, so you know, they could move in very quickly if this couple liked it and they wanted to buy it, kind of thing. So it seemed perfect, and that is the house that she picked for them. That is what she was going to show them in like 2 days' time. So Lindsay went ahead and told her father, Jeff, he was also a realtor, he's running the family apparently, about this new client. And again, she mentioned to him about how strange the call all was. She's also mentioned that she had got the personal number off one of her clients, and then she tried to ring that client, and then the client was out of town, so she couldn't get in touch with them. Again, it was just all weird, but no matter what, she was still going to go because it was a great opportunity for her to get selling these expensive houses that she wanted to. So she did talk to her dad about it. She did have reservations. However, her decision was that she was still going to go. And I mean, nobody would think anything other than that. Yes, okay, it's strange how she got the number, but I don't know, you just wouldn't really assume that anything bad would happen, I guess. So then the day came, the 2nd of February. She told her boyfriend about it, and he was going to kind of hang around because she felt a little bit weird about it, just with the circumstances surrounding it all. So her and Jason met for a late lunch, and he said that he would meet her later on at the house, basically, because he did need her to sign these letters for something or other, but that meant that he would be around just in case there was ever any trouble or anything like that. You know, he would be there. You know, that would have put her mind at ease. So they went ahead and they had their lunch at 4:30 p.m. and then they both went their separate ways. Jason had plans on what he was going to do that evening, but then obviously he was going to meet her up later. So he went and picked up his friend Cohen Altman, and they went to the game together. They stopped off at this business, and CCTV actually caught them leaving. Well, getting there and then leaving. And then after that, Jason eventually headed to D'Souza Place. Lindsay got there just before 5:30 p.m. She pulls up outside, she takes a quick look at her paperwork that she's got, checking that everything's in order, and then she enters the house at 5:29 p.m. And that time specifically was recorded because she had to open this lockbox to gain entry to the house, so, you know, it logged the exact time she entered. There was actually 2 people in the cul-de-sac around the time that this occurred. They saw 2 people walk towards the house. Lindsay came out, she introduced herself, and then the 3 of them went inside the house. Jason sent Lindsay a text message to say that, you know, he would be there in 10-15 minutes, and she replied that they were there already. He then sent another text message at 5:38 p.m. That one said that he was just a couple of minutes away, and that message was received, but she never read it. When Jason got there, it was about 5:45 p.m. He parked outside, he kind of waited around for Lindsay, waited for her to respond, and there was no sign of her, there was no response. And he said that, well, before he actually waited around, he saw that when he got there, a man and a woman opened the front door, but then quickly went back inside the house. He sat in the car for a while, waiting for Lindsay, waiting for her to reply, and she never did, and he started to get worried. So him and his friend go up to the front door, and they found that it was locked, which is obviously very strange. She was in there, she was showing this couple the house. Why on earth was the door locked? This is when Jason called the police. So that was at 6:05 p.m. and then Cohen went around the back to see whether he could see anything, and he goes around to the back door and finds that it's actually open. He goes inside and he then opens the front door for Jason to come in. Jason's apparently ran upstairs. He ended up in the master bedroom, and that is where he found Lindsay. She was bleeding profusely, having been stabbed multiple times. This is when Jason called the police a second time. This was 6:11 p.m. And when the paramedics got there and things, they tried their best, you know, but sadly, Lindsay was deceased. Nobody else was in the home at the time that Jason got in and found Lindsay's body, so the people that did this, presumably the people she was showing the house to, who else could it be, you know, they'd long gone. Police arrived, and it was very apparent that whoever was in the house that day basically lured, I guess you could call it lured, Lindsay to that house with the sole purpose of killing her that day. When an autopsy was done and things, you know, they found that she'd not been sexually abused or anything like that. All her belongings were still there. Nothing was missing. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a rape. There was just nothing. They just wanted to kill Lindsay, I guess. So they narrowed it down to thinking that Lindsay was actually stabbed between 5:38 p.m. and 5:41 p.m. So literally within 3 minutes, and within that time frame, she'd been stabbed over 40 times. So it was a frenzied attack. Obviously, they took Jason and Cohen in for questioning and things like that because they were at the scene when they got there. But they checked out their alibi, they looked at the surveillance, and then they let them go. So looking at the crime scene and how many times she was stabbed and things, police really did believe that she had gone to show the couple the ensuite bathroom from that master bedroom, and as she went to go in there, that is when they attacked her and stabbed her, well, multiple times. They think that she was attacked from behind and basically there was nothing that she could have done. And they assumed that because there was no defensive wounds on her body whatsoever. So basically they attacked her from behind and just cowardly attacked her while she wasn't even looking. She wasn't even able to defend herself because she was turned the other way. Totally putting a trust in these people that she was showing the house to. And then they just brutally murdered her. Honestly, it is horrific. Police looked into her phone records and they found that there had been a phone call made to one of her friends, I believe, around the time. It was just muffled and things like that. They couldn't really hear anything, but they believed that it was like a pocket dial, like an accidental phone call. And they thought that that was around the time that the attack started. So at this point, police were obviously trying to track down these people. It must have been them that did it. So they speak to the people who saw them on the street, and they described what the woman was wearing, the dress that she was wearing, and of course what she looked like. They said that she had blonde hair and was wearing this colourful party dress. They also described the man as being Caucasian with dark hair over 6 foot tall. But that was pretty much it. Police, of course, went ahead and traced the call that Lindsay got from this new client, but that didn't lead anywhere either because it was a burner phone that was bought in Vancouver 3 months before. It was used for that, nothing else, and it's not been used since. They did find out though that, again, with burners, people pay for them in cash. It was under a fake name. The fake name was Paulo Rodriguez. They did find that it had travelled to the island 24 hours before Lindsay's murder, and that they had made the initial calls to her from Vancouver. Half a dozen calls were made to Lindsay, and after her murder, the phone was just not used again. It seemed like Lindsay's murder had been meticulously planned. There was very little evidence left behind. The attack happened like so quickly, within 3 minutes. It was just crazy. So police began looking into Lindsay's background. Of course, they looked into Jason again. You know, I know he had an alibi, but they're just looking into everything they can. So they seemed like they had a good relationship, but Jeff said that she was thinking about ending it. I've already discussed that with you guys. He was there the time she was murdered, but they were just looking into whether there was a possibility that he could be involved. He took a lie detector test, he passed that. You know, I believe they don't think he's a suspect. They looked into her past relationships with other men, and before she dated Jason, she was in a long-term relationship with a guy called Matt McDuff, but police didn't consider him as a suspect in her killing. So basically, the police were looking into everything. They have no idea as to why Lindsay was targeted and killed at all. They looked into her background, they looked into just everything they could, and they didn't find anything. And that is that. You know, to this date, her case is still unsolved. Police have stated that by no means it is a cold case. Like, they are still looking into it. They are still looking. Police have stated that, you know, it is not a cold case by any means. They're still looking into it, and it is still an open investigation. They honestly believe that these people who are posing to be buyers, this man and woman who killed Lindsay, were acting on false information. So I guess they've looked into her background and they just can't see anything that could sort of relate to why anyone would want to do this to her. Jeff has been trying to find her murderer for years. You know, while this happened in 2008, we're now in 2022. There's still no closer to finding that. The murder of his daughter has obviously left a lot of scars, but he said he will not just stop trying to get justice for his little girl and for other women too. Not just for his daughter, for the other women out there and the other unsolved murders out there that just remain so. Jeff has said that he believed that Lindsay knew too much or something like that, and that is why they killed her, because she knew some information that she shouldn't have, and they decided that they were ending her life because of it. That's what he believes, at least anyway. To this day, Lindsay's case remains unsolved. If anyone ever has any information, please do come forward and let us get this Lindsay's case solved after all these years. It's so heartbreaking what happened to her. She was literally at work showing somebody a house and they killed her. You can't make it up. But yeah, that's the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of Lindsay Buziak. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.